Judy. And Judy is a biopic about Judy Garland, famous actress who I'm certain pretty much everybody's listening to this has seen in The Wizard of Oz.
I certainly hope so.
Yeah, I mean, I guess before we get too far into it, what's your relationship with Judy Garland? Like,
Yeah, good question. I was not familiar at all with her music career. That's for sure. That's a big part of the movie. Um, I haven't seen her A Star Is Born remake, but I was aware of it, of course. I think that's
the
second
original.
Star. Is it the original or the second one? I forget.
I thought she was the original. Let me check that out.
Maybe it is. I don't know. But one of the early ones, of course, that was in the 50s, I think. One of her, I think her second acting comeback. And of course, Wizard of Oz, we know. She was 16 when she made that. But I hadn't seen a whole lot of her other stuff. I mean, the Golden Age of Hollywood's definitely a black hole in my watched films, that's for sure. But I'd been aware of her, her tragic career and how it ended too soon and all that, but I didn't know the details. And I think this movie is effective at kind of communicating the end of that, but as a result, it's a bit of a conventional biopic, which can be a good thing or a bad thing depending on what you want. But ultimately, I did enjoy it. I think it's an effective what it's trying to do. And not that Judy Garland needs her praises sung. Obviously, she's quite well celebrated as one of the best things that Hollywood ever created. But it's still still a little sad to see the end that way.
No, absolutely. And you were right. It was a remake. The original had, Janet Gaynor and Frederick March, who I have no idea who that is. But similarly to you,
20s or something, yeah.
1937, then Garland's 54. So 10 years, I think, before this movie takes place.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm similar to you. I was aware she sang, but I would never really listen to her work much. And obviously, I was aware she was in movies, but really only ever saw the Wizard of Oz. And I think only from other people in my life who are a little bit more into her work was made aware of her troubles. And it's well documented, her substance abuse issues and lack of parental supervision, I guess you might say, or I guess care as a kid. It's really sad, and I think the movie touches on it well. Before we get into probably the more interesting part of this conversation, I wanted to ask you, how did you feel about this movie as a whole? Did you like it? Was it entertaining for you?
Yeah, so I think it's effective as one of these one performance biopics goes. I did think it sagged a little bit in the end. Maybe it was a tad long, but the ending scene, which I guess we don't spoil it, but the ending scene might be a bit cheesy, but I also think it's incredibly well crafted to the point that it's I heard some sniffling in the audience with me. I think it gets across what it wants to get across, and maybe that's too safe for some people. I totally see that, but I also don't have a problem with that because I think the main attraction, of course, with a one performance biopic movie is that one performance. And when it's as strong as Renee Zellweger is in this, it's hard to be too critical, I mean, I think we all want our Sacha Baron Cohen takes on Bohemian Rhapsody, right? But it's hard for those to get made. So I think this is pretty good, as far as it goes. And again, the performance is so great that it's a must watch, I think.
Yeah, that's the thing is, as far as a movie goes, it's okay. I think there's some moments where it really flies and some moments where it drags a bit. But Renee Zellweger is the story here because her career, she was Bridget Jones. She was You Had Me at Hello. Very
Cold
famous.
Mountain.
Yep, very famous actress in the late 90s into mid 90s into the 2000s, and then tabloids, people commenting about her looks, her face, things like that, led her to have plastic surgery. Then she was even more scrutinized for having plastic surgery, and she really stepped away from the limelight from 2010 to 2016, returning with Bridget Jones's Baby in 2016, which was a box office success. Maybe not the meatiest role for her. And then since then, she hasn't really been in much. I think she's been in only a couple movies, none that were very
Right.
successful critically or commercially. So this is her real like comeback moment since 2010. And man, does she kill this role? Not only does she really like transform, but even though she sings and she doesn't really sing and sound like Judy Garland much, her singing performances are really just enthralling, and you're just kind of like sucked into everything she does. It's really impressive.
Yeah, I agree. I think the best parts of the movie are those singing scenes, sing and dance scenes at this. Uh, what was the name of the venue? It had a weird name. Uh,
I didn't write it down.
yeah, the venue at London where she's
Mm.
doing these shows right before she dies, and yeah, those are the best moments. I think that performance, because at this time Judy Garland was, you know, quite messed up, abusing alcohol and abusing pills. It lends to very jittery performance where the mannerisms, the head nods, the twitches, and all that lends itself to a showy performance. And she really does nail that. It reminded me a lot of Chalamet and Beautiful Boy, to be honest, one of those
Mm.
showy movies that maybe it's glorifying hardship to a certain extent, but makes for a lot for the actor to chew on in the meantime, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think the best scene in the movie, I think, is pretty easily when she meets the gay couple that are big fans of hers and goes back to their apartment. Really, captures the gay icon that Judy Garland was. That was another thing that I really wasn't aware of until I saw this movie and started reading up on it.
Mm-hmm.
That, and I forget what song one of her famous songs they sing, but they sing it a cappella or acoustic, right? Which is the piano. So it's doesn't even matter. That doesn't sound like Judy because it's such a touching, heartwarming scene. That that's kind of like that magic that you can get in historical biopics when the story is good.
Yep.
One of the things I didn't like as much was it didn't really. Maybe I don't know. It's just she's not a good mom at this time. Maybe she never was. I don't know, but they don't really comment on Judy being responsible for a lot of the things that happened to her at this time in terms of not really having a home and everything her kids are going through at this time. Obviously she got fucked up by the studio system from a young age and went from there, but she also was the one who like kind of squandered a lot of her money, right? And wasn't the best mom. So it did felt like they were portraying her as a big martyr at the end, which ultimately is correct, but the culpability I think was a little tough to swallow. Like whenever like Rufus Sewell, who played her ex-husband and her father of her kids, her two kids, young kids, whenever he would like actually like try and check her on stuff, they would like end the scene, So
yeah,
that was just a little grating in the moment, because it's like tough to watch someone who it's not all their fault or really their fault at all, but they just can't accept what's happened. It's hard to watch, I guess.
Yeah, they really paint her as a tragic figure, and I mean I think there's a good amount of blame to be pointed at other people other than Judy. I mean,
Right.
from the time she was 14, maybe even younger, she was thrown into the
mayor
studio.
at MGM, of course.
Right, she was thrown into the studio system that was feeding her pills to go to sleep, feeding her pills to be awake. They allude to potential sexual abuse within it, working long hours. It's ridiculous the things that she went through. However, I do feel like the moments where like Sid calls her out and says like, the lawyers, people always ask like, where's your star, Sid? Like, we can't make a movie like this, Sid. And like, they really kind of let that sit, but don't ever really go back to it. I do think just from the beginning, I was just kind of like, man, she really doesn't seem to be a great mom at this time. Having her kids out late performing with her, kind of using them in a sense. I was like, I think they leave some of those things for you to make that judgment yourself instead of having to say it outright, which is actually funny for a film where the flashbacks are used to be so on the nose.
Yes.
The other
so straightforward.
Like, yeah, you're leaving certain things to be straightforward, and then you're leaving this other stuff a bit unsaid. But overall, I thought the piece I guess I didn't necessarily like, and this might just be my own taste, is I felt like it was it painted her fourth husband in such a weird light. You know, like you
Yeah,
couldn't really get a sense of him. Like in the beginning, I thought he might be a bit of a redemptive character, like someone who actually like is helping her rediscover something about herself. And then when you see him again, he's just this big goof loon
right.
who thinks she should be on stage with the Rolling Stones, and you just kind of like I don't know. I like Whitrock a lot too. He makes some
Yeah,
good choices for movies. You know, he's been Big Short, La La Land, Beale Street, but that role kind of left a bad taste in my mouth.
yeah. And I was doing some more digging after seeing the movie. That guy, her last husband, I think ultimately was just quite the sleaze. You know, he
Yeah.
apparently, I think Liz Minnelli, of course, her older kid, who was obviously very famous in her own right. She remarked that the day of the funeral, on the way back, they had to do a detour so her ex-husband could sign his book deal like that day. You know,
Jesus.
and like they do allude to him being a businessman with the deals and shit. So apparently that was actually
But a really
what he was
bad
like
one.
in real life. Um, yeah, you know, this movie's directed by Rupert Gould, who is a theater director. Does not really make feature film movies at all, and he doesn't really add much at all to this. I think all the theater scenes, the performance scenes, look nice, they sound good. But I think if we put this in a more accomplished, you know, director's hands, maybe get some better cinematography in here, you could have really elevated this even more. I'm just thinking of something like Darkest Hour, right, where Gary Oldman performance is so strong and so obviously won Best Actor for, right? But that movie also looks really cool,
Yeah.
and this movie I think just kind of looks fine.
Yeah.
And
I agree. The scene where they're like walking through London, Mickey and her, when they're going shopping, I was like, this just looks like a movie set right now. Like it didn't
right,
look like London. And
which
I
is
think
bad because we see literally movie sets in the flashbacks, so it's like on the mind, you know.
right. Yeah, no, I agree. I think there could have been some touches that a more accomplished director could have put on it. Do you feel like Renee Zellweger is the favorite to win Best Actress right now? That's been the talk.
Right, so she's the only one who the public has seen at this point, right? I think her main competition is Scarlett Johansson in Marriage Story. We haven't seen that performance. The film has gotten a lot of acclaim. Most of the acclaim, of course, is going to Adam Driver, but ScarJo is right there as well from what we know from the festival reception. Cynthia Erivo for Harriet is in the mix.
What about my girl Lupita?
Lupita, yeah, if anyone from earlier in the year could come through, it's probably her. Aquafina, Farewell.
I'd love to see her get a nomination.
Charlize and Bombshell, the Roger Ailes movie. Of course, Saoirse Ronan probably will get in here for Little Women, you have to assume.
Yep.
But yeah, I think she's definitely the favorite. I'm assuming J-Lo will go for Best Supporting, the way she runs it. But yeah, it's probably her, ScarJo, unless something unforeseen happens. And, you know, the redemptive nature of Renee's career, as we touched on with the hiatus and how she kind of got chewed up and spit out by Hollywood and the press and all that. The meta nature of that juxtaposed with how Judy Garland's career went is a pretty easy sell, I think.
I agree.
So I would not have a problem with that. I actually would like to see that, I think. So that's and it seems like she wants it. She gave a very eye-opening profile in Vulture, which is a good read as well. So we'll be hearing a lot more from and about Zellweger for the next few months, no doubt.
As Sean Fennessy might say, she's running.
Definitely.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing her get a nomination and potentially win, without having seen the other roles. Certainly deserving. It's quite a performance. I just want to give a shout out to two other people who are in this. Jessie Buckley.
Yep. Also on my list.
Yeah, you were talking about the actress in the last movie who's on the rise. She's definitely on the rise. She's in Chernobyl, going to be in Fargo next year. Buy your Jessie Buckley stock now because she's electric. She
reminded me so much of Haley Atwell in this particular role, and for a while I was like, I want this to be Haley Atwell. But then as the movie progressed, like, oh no, Jessie Buckley's honestly making a lot out of
nothing
in this movie, which just speaks to her talent.
Yeah.
Shout out Michael Gambon.
Yes.
Just kind of hanging out. Nice to see Albus kicking. That's cool.
I just always imagine him yelling at Harry Potter for putting his name in the Goblet of Fire.
Right.
Just can't see him and not think about it. Anyone else on your list?
I mean, yeah, you mentioned Finn already. I mean, there's not a whole lot. Shout out Bella Ramsey, aka Lyanna Mormont, playing the young daughter. When I'm watching in the beginning, I'm like, who the fuck is this? I picture her face. Who is this? And then it came to me like in a few minutes. I was like, yes, R.I.P. Lyanna.
Yeah, she was pretty good too. For also not having a few lines. Too. So
yeah. I was actually going to ask you. So this movie, A- in score, 3.1 million out of only 461 theaters. That's a excellent start for a movie, this type of adult drama. That's great. The audience demographic, though, 60% female, 79% over the age of 35. We are the farthest thing from this demo. I took a look. I saw this on a Sunday night. It was still pretty full. I think I was the youngest person there. I don't know about you.
Yeah, I went with my girlfriend Julianne. So she was the youngest person there. But
right.
we were probably the youngest by at least 20 years in our theater. It was a lot of old heads, which is fine. Good. They need something to watch too. So.
Yeah, I know when the end chirons come up where it's like Judy died 6 months later, then she was 47. There's like a gasp, a small understated gasp in my thing. And it's like, everyone knew she died young, right? You're the olds here. You have more connection than me or you do. Like, how do you not know that?
Yeah.
Plus, you also, I guess I didn't know that this movie was showing me right before she died. Like, I didn't know it was 6 months part, but I didn't know she died when she was dumb young. So kind of funny that some people had no idea, apparently.
Yeah, it was the exact same experience. And walking out, Julianne and I were like, why the fuck did they gasp? Like, did you not know what was going to happen? Like, I guess maybe not that soon, but like, we all know she dies young. Like,
right. And the way the movie's playing you at the end, it's like it's really trying to, play a step on your heartstrings. And I think it's effectively done. They don't play it that way to be like, Judy Garland turned her life around and lived at the ripe age of 85. Like, that's not how that ends,
No. Yeah. Anyways, why don't we wrap up there for this week?